Friends, it's evening. I'm getting ready for work tomorrow. Come make my breakfast with me. So in this jar I've got some organic oats. Go for as minimally processed as possible. Rolled oats or steel cut oats are much better than the sort of heavily processed oats. So go for the best that you can find. So I've got some oats in my jar, a couple of tablespoons. Then I'm going to cover that with milk. You can use whatever milk. I used to use plant milk, but now I've got some good old cow's milk. To that, I'm going to add a spoon of yogurt. That makes it nice and thick and creamy. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of kefir. So just for that extra little gut health boost, I add a little bit of kefir in there as well. Give it a stir. Now this is going to sit in the fridge overnight. I've never done quick. They say that you can leave it a few hours, but I've never done that. I've always done it overnight. And then that makes sure that in the morning, the oats have absorbed all of the liquid. It's nice and soft. So just make sure you've not got any sticky bits on the bottom. Give it a shake, give it a stir, and then we're going to pop that in the fridge. We're going to leave that overnight, and then that will be ready for us to take to work in the morning. Now, because oats can give you that blood sugar spike, so they can raise your glucose and leave you feeling tired, lethargic. I want to avoid that. So when I make overnight oats, I always top it with, just before eating, I top it with protein and fibre. So in a separate pot, because I add this just before serving, if you add the ingredients to soak overnight, it goes all mushy. And I don't like the texture. So in a separate little pot, I've got a couple of teaspoons of ground flax seeds, a couple of teaspoons of chia seeds. I'm going to add some nuts, because nuts are a brilliant source of protein, obviously, but also fibre. It dampens that glucose spike, that glucose response. Normally I would have walnuts, but I've run out. So I'm just going to add a handful of almonds. You can chop them up if you want. I don't bother, but if you like. I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of goji berries, because I love them. They're like these crunchy, this sort of chewy, crunchy little pop that you get, which tastes absolutely lovely. And then from my seed jar as well, I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of this lovely mix. Now in here, I've got all sorts of different seeds, pine nuts. It's all chucked in and mixed up. And then I use it as a topper and throw it on everything. So I've got this little pot of nutritional goodness that I'm going to add to my oats before serving. So literally just open the pot, tip it in, give it a stir and eat. You can heat the oats up. I don't. I actually eat them cold. I don't mind them cold. Some people like to heat them up, and it's sort of, I suppose, a bit like porridge. That's it. I don't add any honey or anything like that. I used to, when I started taking overnight oats, I would sometimes add a little bit of honey, but actually I don't need to now, because I find the fruit sweet enough. In this as well, I'm also, in the morning before I leave, I'm going to add some frozen cherries. You can have frozen cherries or blueberries. What that does is they slowly defrost. So on my commute to work, they defrost. So it keeps it cold. I get to work, pop it in the fridge, and then by the time I come to eat it, the fruit is all defrosted. It's kept it nice and cold. I add in my little crunchy pot of goodness, and it's delicious.